second interview today. I'm excited again. I said that today, but Julie, our beautiful host, Julie Nelson, host of the Astrology Tribe, of the Bewitching Tribe, is here for our second conversation of the pre-launch of HarmonyFest. Are you excited, Julie?
Oh, I'm very excited. I think what you have done is amazing, and it's wonderful for all these people to come together.
Oh, yeah.
Share our talents.
Thank you. And that's what it is. I mean, HarmonyFest is bringing people from all over the world together to share their talents, their passions, their readings, which we're going to talk to you about, their masterclasses, which you're part of, and also just their services and products. So anyone in the spiritual, holistic, or well-being field, this is the place to be, HarmonyFest 2023. But yes, today, our beautiful Julie is with us to talk about two very special things. So, Julie, not only are you facilitating an incredible masterclass, which I want to hear more about, but you're also sharing your talents in astrology, knowing all about astrology, and you're doing an online reading. For everyone who's watching, we are going to be putting all of Julie's links in the comments, so do watch out for them. Can I ask you, Julie, can we start off this conversation? I want to know more about you, and I want to know what inspired you to delve into the world of cosmic alchemy and astrology. I mean, you know, it's unique, it's wonderful. Don't find everyone every day talking about cosmic alchemy. So tell us about it.
So, look, my journey began when I had my daughter, who was born with 2 life-threatening conditions. And I became a clinical aromatherapist 31 years ago. And when I was ending that, I was studying astrology. I have always had a fascination with the stars from a little girl. I have always star and moon gazed. It's just something that I am in awe of when I look at the sky. And when I went to an open day and was listening to my this lecturer who became my lecturer, my mentor, my teacher in astrology, it was like, oh my gosh. And she came from a very spiritual background as well. And she was she was a psychotherapist. So she brought other aspects into it, which was really fascinating. And it melds together with my magic, my aromatherapy, because I do the perfumery, and I just bring them all together. And of course, our plant world is also associated. It's ruled, each plant is ruled by a planet and a star sign. So they all go beautifully together. It's a very potent topic. And it was once in synergy. It was married with astronomy. And then around the 18th century, late 17th century, it was divided. So the science came more into it, and then the more spiritual aspect of it. But in the ancient times, it was one. Actually, if just in case anybody doesn't know this, astrology with the moon was part of the Hippocratic Oath for the medical system, but that was dropped out as well.
Okay, when they I understand that, because way back when, you know, when we honored the feminine body and we honored, worshipped in a way the stars and the moon and the sun, and listened to nature, we were one. That's what we were, one with nature. I could very much understand it, because as you know, the astrology, the planets and everything else, which you have that whole mind for, to me, it's a whole different language.
Takes a long time.
Yeah, I know. Affects us, but it definitely, on an emotional level, a spiritual level, and also a physical level. So I could definitely understand how it was part of the medical system, and they listened to nature. To the planets and everything else.
Well, that's how they knew our ancient cultures were very intelligent, and they didn't have computers and things to rely on. And so they soon understood how important, I don't know how it all happened, but, for crops and the seasons, like the wheel of the year and when to grow, when to harvest, their lives depended on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they weren't distracted like we are. They were one with nature.
One with nature.
As it's lacking in our times, and that's what I try to do myself every day, is connect with that, because we are all a part of it and we are all connected.
Yes, yeah, exactly. In which I believe your masterclass is going to be bringing more into how to connect with all those cosmic energies and understanding it.
And the moon phases, yes. So I will give some main points, because of course in an hour and a half in the masterclass you can't do everything, but I will give main points of what most people talk about their sun sign, their rising or ascendant, and their moon. So they're the three main points. I'll go into a couple of others that I think are very, very potent. And then how the moon affects us. So there is some scientists that say that the moon does not have an effect on us, which for the life of me, I don't understand, because actually there's a lot of information and scientific writings, because we're made up of so much water, depending on what book you read, but let's say 80% of water. And the moon has such a strong pull on the tides, on water. It does affect us, and I'm very conscious of it. So yeah, we'll be talking about the moon phases and how we can tap into them to flow through our life.
Which is good, because that's something I really don't understand too much. So I'm looking forward to it. I know, especially growing up, I was definitely affected by the moon and everything else, and definitely still am in different ways, but it does change. I think as you go through your pattern, I'm not so much affected by the full moon, but affected by other parts of the moon.
Yes, because it's like a role. Our emotion, it's part of the reason why some people's it depends on their chart. Their emotions just fluctuate, or their body does.
Yes.
And the planets and signs rule different parts of our bodies.
Yes, yeah, and totally. And that's what we need to know more about too. So can I ask you, Julie, like a lot of people in our world today, I can't say 100%, but a majority, I would think, are on some type of spiritual journey, right? Mm-hmm. Some type of spiritual journey. How can understanding these cosmic energies help us enhance our life or our journey, our spiritual journey?
Okay, well, there's two very simple answers. Either come to somebody like me or an astrologer that you feel aligned to get your blueprint done, your birth chart done, because once you have a handle on your birth chart, which is quite complex, but you can have a basic one, there are free astrology reports generated online, but they may not be, they won't be as personalized. Or the other thing is to study it, because it's very complex. And once you have a handle on your own cosmic blueprint, your astrology birth chart or star map, whatever you want to call it, you can tune in and tap into it, and your birth chart is fixed, it never changes. But then when you understand that, the transits, which are forever moving, that go over the top of our chart, is what creates the fluctuations and the different energies that are surrounding us at any given time. Did that make sense?
It made sense, definitely. So this is what you're going to be talking about in your masterclass?
Yes, I'll give an explanation of the different levels. I want to talk about the moon phases, because especially for women, there are people out there. There are practitioners that specifically work with the moon phases for women's cycles, and so many women, even with fertility, have had, they're more in sync with their bodies. And then whatever else I can fit in, and I'll create, 10-15 minutes for Q&A as well.
And stuff. Great. Well, I'm looking forward to it, because I know, like, it's a whole different language. I don't understand it totally. I know that it affects me, and I know, you've got these things that everyone talks about, hiding in Mercury retrograde, and there's so many other planets that go retrograde and everything, and understanding all that. For me, I know we were talking about what it must have been about 4 months ago now, 3 or 4 months ago, about the best dates to hold HarmonyFest. So I just want to, first of all, thank you and honor you. It's because you told me that this is a good time, that we're now bringing HarmonyFest out for everyone to participate and experience. So I just want to thank you for that. But I said, just understanding it. And it makes it so much sense. So that's why, as well as doing this masterclass, which I really recommend everyone coming to, click on the links below and you'll get more information about the masterclass, and we'll talk more about that too. But you're also offering astrology readings.
Yes.
So people can come to the masterclass, have a basic thing about all the cosmic alchemy and how it all works, but then come and see you for a one-on-one reading.
Yes, absolutely. And I do have my one-on-one readings for the HarmonyFest at a reduced price, by the way. And so take advantage of it. And and in those readings, in an hour, like, I jam pack it, and it's recorded, and you can then
go back over
it, sit down with a cup of tea, listen to a little bit, take your notes, and it's very, very powerful. People just go, oh my God, oh, I know that, oh yes, that happens to me, like, they align. So it's really important to remember as well that your birth chart doesn't define who you are. People say, I don't want to be defined by astrology. You're not being defined from it. Think of it as a map, and what it does is bring choices for you.
Yes. Yeah. And it's true, because then once you understand it, you can use it. You can use it in planning. You can use it in, I think, relationships with other people, when you understand what other people are. So just a little bit with those readings, or do people need to know their time of birth?
It is best to. So if you want to have a reading and get really in depth with it, have your birth time. If you don't know your birth time, there's a couple of things you can do. And I've had a lot of clients do this. You can contact, if you were born in hospital, you can contact the hospital, write to them. And I think you pay between $30 and $50. They will go through the records and pull it up for you. If you were born at home and there's no record, then there are kinesiologists that specialize in it. If you have an idea, you can perhaps do some self kinesiology, but there are specialist kinesiologists that work with that. They're the two best things. If you're unsuccessful with that, if you have an idea, I might take you through a mini process, but I can't guarantee that it will be exactly right.
It's fine. No, it's good, because sometimes I get people saying, I'd love to have a reading, but I don't know when I'm born.
You can have it done when you can have a chart done without your birth time. However, you can't get as specific, because your birth time gives your ascendant, your rising sign, it's also called, and that then gives you the placement of where all of the planets and stars are sitting. So you miss out on the placement and where it will come up and affect you in your life, or show up in your life, but you can still do a pretty decent reading, but it will lack some
exact things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can still know and what's coming up and planning and stuff around the different planetary movements and alignments and stuff, and you get to know that. So with your astrology, with your readings and the readings that you're offering during the HarmonyFest, is that for like a lifetime or is it for a specific period? How often do you recommend people get astrology readings?
Okay, so the readings I'm offering are the blueprint so that you can study your own chart.
Right.
The transits is when I do a combined chart reading and then the transits, it's like a 2.5 hour reading. Because I go quite deep and I go into, like, I work with 3 different levels, and I also bring in ritual and perfumery and mantras so that they can really work with themselves, and we look at what they want to achieve and create. So the ones for the HarmonyFest are your blueprint, your astrology birth chart, where you will learn what planets and what signs are married together at the time of your birth.
Yeah, good. I said, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Astrology, whole new language, but it's such a wonderful thing to learn and to understand. And I know because, you know, you host the Bewitching Tribe. And when I've been in there and stuff, you learn, it's like, wow, it opens up your eyes to a whole different world, but a world that can really help us. So can I ask you, Julie, you know, in your life, have you had any, if you'd like to share, any challenging situations that you've used astrology to help you on?
All the time. So let me give you an example.
Please do.
We go through so many different things. Just as an example, excuse me, I'll just have a sip of water.
Yep.
When you understand what the houses represent and your birth chart and what's sitting in what, I have a lot of stuff in the 8th house. And the 8th house is ruled by, the modern day ruler is Pluto. And I work with Pluto because for me, it resonates more than the old ruler, which is Mars. So Scorpio, it's the house of Scorpio. It's the house of Pluto. And so that house is all about life, death, rebirth. So people that have a lot of stuff in their 8th house will find that they have challenges all through their life. And so when you understand that, it helps you to be able to move through that and work with it. And it's like, so I'm at a point in my life now where I go, okay, all I can say is I've got to flow with it. And it also depends on what signs and planets are in that house. And I know that I'm going to come out the other end and I would have evolved into another level of me. So yes, I've had many challenges in my life, and understanding my chart and knowing where the planets are sitting over the top of my chart can help me to navigate all of that. So it might be saying that I need to just go with the flow because there is nothing I can do about it, on perhaps because I can't pop up there and move the stars. And, you know, scientists have been saying for over a century, energy becomes matter. So why on earth some scientists are saying it's not real? Because it's scientists that have proven energy becomes matter. They rain down an energy over the top of us. So it's not like I can get up there and move them out. I can't run away from that energy. It is right over me. So I have to work with it. So it's like, okay, is the energy telling you to move forward? Is it a time to make decisions or not? So I use it all the time. Yeah, all the time.
All the time. Yeah. And it makes sense. There was times, like we talked about, there was times when we were one with nature and people planted by the moon, and we rose with the sun and we went to sleep with when the sun went down and everything else. So it just makes sense to get to know that, to use the energy, even though, if I can say honestly, for me, it's like part of me goes, but how can, where the planets are affect us? Like really, and I think a lot to do with that is in today's modern day horoscopes, which aren't the truth. We know that they're not real. And it's like, well, how can, just because I was born in October, that I have the traits of a Libran? Like, it doesn't make sense. But then when you go into nature and the real traditional ways, that you understand that it does have a big impact. And when we know about this, it helps us so much in our life. So thank you. And I just, really honor you and really thank you for bringing this to the HarmonyFest, to Sacred You. Really looking forward to your Cosmic Alchemy Masterclass. Now, when is that for everyone who is watching?
That is on the 13th or 14th. I can't remember. Can I add two very important points? Okay. Yes. With astrology, we've always got to take into consideration the external world and what's going on there, that because we are influenced so much by our external world as well. So that can come in and affect our life, and that can be separate from the energy of the stars. So that's really important to remember, that other influences come in. And that's why I always say it's fantastic, because we use it as a map. And the other thing is that we will all experience our charts uniquely and at different times of our life. So there may be some things that are in your chart that you haven't actually experienced yet in your life.
And it's good to know about it, and that it might be coming up at some stage in the future.
Yes.
And things. And I heard just really quickly, when you're talking about not experiencing everything in our life, I know, we hear about the 7-year cycles and Saturn returns and everything like that. Will that be covered in your masterclass, or do people come and see you for a consult?
There is so much, I would never fit it in. Like, even with retrogrades, it's a class of its own. But what I will tell you about retrogrades is that people get very, there's this media burst of, Mercury's in retrograde, Pluto's in retrograde, we've got a lot of planets in retrograde right now. The best thing for it is to, I always say, reflect, recalibrate, realign, reaffirm. It's about the inner work.
Yeah.
All right.
Time for that.
So, and with the Saturn return, it depends what I can fit into a year, into an hour and a half. Yeah.
All right. So that is coming up, your masterclass, your Cosmic Alchemy. Oh my God. Align your stars with the power of scent and the moon phases. We haven't even got into the scent part. I think you're going to have to come back, Julie, for another conversation. Friday the 13th.
That's right.
What a auspicious day. Friday the 13th, 7 p.m. here in Australia. 4 a.m. nice and early for those in Eastern time zone. So no problem. Or 7 a.m. for those in Pacific, I do believe. No, it's the other way around. But anyway, you'll find out. But 4 a.m. in Eastern time zone, 7 p.m. here in Australia. So, Julie, thank you ever so much. And can I just ask you one final question? Is like, do you have a final message or an insight or something that you'd like to leave all our listeners and those who are watching live and on the replay? People who are seeking spiritual growth or guidance, people who are coming to the HarmonyFest, this is the place to come if you're on a spiritual journey and you're not quite sure what to do. So what insights from the cosmic realms can you share?
The first thing when we want to grow and heal and move forward is to do the inner work. And astrology is very powerful for helping you to do that, because you connect with the essence of your core, the core essence of your being. And harmony is just the perfect word, especially for October, being Libra. We're smack bang in the middle of Libra. And Libra is all about harmony.
Yep.
So the inner work is the most important place to start, to be able to create the life that we desire and bring that harmony and balance into our everyday life.
Into everyday life. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And we're going to know more about that. And again, come to HarmonyFest, check out the Cosmic Alchemy Masterclass, because you'll come out with a whole new way of seeing things, a whole new understanding of all things cosmic. And if you're looking for guidance, you want to do that even deeper guidance, come and see Julie for an astrology reading. And as Julie said, you've offered a discount, which is great just for HarmonyFest. So click on the links below, book in for a reading before they all book out, before we close it down, and get to know about your life on such a deeper level. Your blueprint, as you were saying, your blueprint for your life.
And my final thing is, remember, it is written in the stars.
I love it. I love it. And it's so true. Thank you, Julie, for a wonderful conversation. I look forward to seeing you soon for HarmonyFest, which is just 10 days away.
Yes, very exciting. And if anybody wants to ask me questions, they can tag me in the Sacred You group.
Yes,
our community group. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you. And we'll be seeing you very, very